What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. So, here we go. Consoles are finally getting the update to Conan Exiles. Now, there was a recent letter on the Funcom forums on the PS4 updates and bugs from a community support member from Funcom, and basically it says in there that hey, 2.3 is going to come to console by the end of March. That's the plan for this update, is that by the end of March, consoles, both Xbox and PS4, are going to get the 2.3 update. So, what does that mean for you console players? There's a lot that changes, guys, and they have some of it listed here. I'm going to link this in the description of this video so you can get over and read it yourself. However, on PC, we've gotten update 2.0, update 2.1, update 2.2, update 2.3 is going to happen just before launch to console if this letter stands true. And what that means is that on PC, we have slowly gotten all these different changes. We've had a chance to get used to those changes before the next change comes in. However, on console, you guys are going to get it all at one time. So you're not going to get a chance to get used to the initial change before another change is implemented, which means that your gameplay experience today to your gameplay experience once update 2.3 drops is going to be very different. The Conan Exiles plays like almost a whole new game once you get update 2.3. My expectation is that with update 2.3 coming to consoles at the end of the month, you're also going to get the Isle of Sipta. Now, whether you decide to purchase the Isle of Sipta DLC or not is totally up to you. There are a lot of changes that are coming to the game regardless of whether you purchase the Isle of Sipta DLC or not. So in this video, I'm going to try to cover some of the biggest changes so you know what's coming. I'm also going to give you guys some tips. So basically, between now and the end of the month, these are the things that I think that you should be doing in order to prepare for the changes that are coming to Conan Exiles. There's been a progression rebalance, so basically where you're gaining the XP has changed a little bit. Basically, just play the game and you'll be okay. They've changed where the XP is coming from. You gain more XP from fighting or crafting or building than you do when you're exploring. These things are minor changes. You're probably not really going to notice them, and you're probably going to end up finding that you level up faster with the new progression system. Now, there's a change coming to crafting, and it's a big change. This is a huge, monumental change when it comes to crafting. First of all, you're going to have just an absolute ton of new crafting stations. Now, these new crafting stations are quite large, so if you want to start making changes to your bases in order to make space for these new crafting stations, that wouldn't be a terrible idea. However, you can wait until you get them to see how large they are, because many of them are rather large and you're not going to need all of them. You're going to have to make a decision on which ones you want to put in your base. The nice thing with the new crafting system, at least for consoles, is that it reduces the amount of recipes that are in the crafting stations themselves. So instead of having thousands of recipes to go through in a crafting station, they're now separated into different crafting stations so that you don't have to spend as long moving through those menus. Another big change to crafting is they have removed flawless and exceptional recipes from the game, and so they've removed those recipes from your thralls as well. What they put in place is a system of specialization. So you'll have, for example, with the blacksmith, you'll have a bladesmith, you'll have an edgesmith, and you'll have a tempersmith. Each one of these are going to inject different stats into the weapons that you're crafting. And the same goes for armors as well. There are different specifications for your armorers. Thralls also no longer have the ability to reduce the resource cost for your recipes. So those things have been moved to the different benches. There's a resource cost reduction bench, and then there is a speed reduction bench, and you're gonna have to decide which one of those benches you want to craft. Now let's get into the changes that are coming to your gameplay, because it is going to change your gameplay. It may change the style or the way that you play the game. The first is the stamina system. They have overhauled the stamina system to be dependent on what type of armor you're wearing, in addition to what attributes you have selected for your character. The encumbrance of your character also comes into play. The more over encumbered you are, the longer it takes to regenerate stamina. The temperature system has also changed, and what I'm going to say about the temperature system is just try some new armors in different locations, because each armor is going to have both a heat and a cold reduction to it. So you are going to be insulated to heat and cold with each armor. Some armors are still better suited for really cold areas, and some armors are really better suited for really hot armors. However, I feel like you're going to be able to go more places with your armor that you like to wear than you were prior to this patch. Healing is going to be a huge change for you guys. So the healing with food has been really reduced. You really aren't going to use food to heal as much anymore. Basically, food is going to give you an overtime buff, so something that you're using while you are out of combat. In combat, healing has been moved to potions, so you are going to start needing aloe and alchemical base in order to make these potions to heal while quote-unquote in combat. However, I feel like there really isn't an in-combat heal. I feel like you do have to lose aggro, or at least make space in order to get through the animation of drinking a potion. And then wraps. The last thing that you're going to need for healing is wraps, and this is going to be a out of combat healing, but it is going to be most of your health bar, so you're going to use that in between the fights in order to get healed up. And that's going to lead me to my first suggestion for console players right now. What you should be doing is working on storing up gold, silver, alchemical base if you can make it, and aloe, because you are going to start using an absolute ton of these items once this patch comes through. And everybody's going to need these items when this patch comes through. This isn't something where some people aren't going to need it or some people aren't going to use it. So everybody's going to be searching for these items. So I suggest you start stockpiling them now, in case you get to a point in game where everybody is getting the aloe before you get there, or the gold or the silver. And these things are required to make the better versions of both the wraps and the potions. Use of a shield has also changed. The way the shield works now is that while you're blocking, when you receive an attack, that attack actually goes against your stamina bar. So that means that you cannot just block absolutely everything coming at you. You do, however, regenerate stamina through those attacks as well. So as you're holding your shield, you can regenerate stamina. What I'm going to tell you is there are certain areas of the game where you go and fight enemies, say like the arena champion, where she can drain your entire stamina bar with a single combo. So you're definitely going to want to be aware of that change. Don't go in thinking that you can just block everything that's coming at you. Go into the game once this patch comes out and figure out how the shields work before you face big and dangerous enemies. I also recommend not crafting any new armor until after the patch comes out. Don't waste the resources on it. The armor is going to be better after the patch comes out. You're going to get better stats in your attributes that the armor gives you. You are also likely to see a better armor value from the new crafting system. So if you don't need the armor right now, don't craft it. Wait for the patch to come out and then craft your armor with your new specialized thrall. Now, if you haven't been following my videos covering the older updates, you wouldn't know that Yog's Touch has actually taken a nerf. So what you need to do between now and the end of March, between now and when this patch comes out, is actually go to the Warmaker dungeon and farm for Yog's Touch. You want to make sure you have this in your inventory, and then you need to add a modification. And I recommend adding the Master Weapon Fitting to this weapon now. That way you retain the stats the way it is now. If you wait until after the patch, Yog's Touch is going to have a lower stat both in damage and armor pen than it would if you farmed it today. Another big change that comes is with the economy, and getting ichor and oil is much more difficult now. So in the current state of the game, before you get update 2.3, you can get ichor and oil from fish. Once the patch comes, you will no longer be able to get ichor from fish. That is going to be a resource that you have to harvest from different enemies in the exiled lands. There's no passive way to get it any longer. And even fishing has changed. You can no longer passively fish. You actually have to bait your traps. So my suggestion is that as you are picking up the bees and you are picking up the bugs and all these different things in game, you want to put those in a preservation box for when this patch comes up, because if you want to get oil, you're going to need to fish, and if you want to get fish, you're going to have to place a bait in those fish traps. You could also start producing grubs directly from the compost heap right now, put those in a preservation box as well, and then when this update comes, you'll already have a lot of those stored up so that you can start baiting your traps and getting the oil that you're going to need for the armors that you're going to craft. Another item that you're going to want to make sure goes in a preservation box is the Heart of a Hero. If you have a lot of these stored up and in chests, you're going to want to move those to a preservation box, as they are getting a decay timer. And I honestly can't remember what all hearts had a decay timer before and what didn't. So my suggestion is that you move anything that is a heart into a preservation box. That way, if there is a decay timer that pops up with update 2.3, you don't lose a whole bunch of resources that you've been able to store in a chest up until that time. And I think that about covers it. So to recap real quick, you're going to want to make sure you're getting aloe. You're going to want to make sure you're getting alchemical base, or at least the ingredients for alchemical base, which is going to be gold, silver, and ichor. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you get as much ichor as you can before the change, and also oil, because all of those things, the way that you're getting them now, those are all going to change, or you are going to use an increased amount of them in the future update. Make sure that you get a Yog's Touch, at least one. Spend a little time, get a Yog's Touch, make sure you throw a Master Weapon Fitting on it. That way you can retain the stats for Yog's Touch past the update. Now, I will be covering the Conan Exiles changes in new guides once everything actually goes to the live version of the game. I will cover everything that has changed in the game in a new guide. So make sure that you're subscribed to my channel with the bell notification turned on so you know what's coming up and what has changed. Now, I want to know in the comments section below, if you're on console, what is the most exciting feature? What are you excited about the most? Is it the Isle of Sipta drop? Is it the changes that they've made to the game? Let me know that in the comment section below. The whack moments in this video were sponsored by my legendary supporters. If you'd like to become a member, you can click the button below that says join. That'll give you all the details. And if you want to continue the fun, there's 2 videos on the screen. You can pick one of those to watch next. Please don't forget to whack the like button. And if you're new to the channel, I'd encourage you to click that subscribe button, click that bell so you get notified when I upload another video.